The once powerful editor-in-chief of Germany's best-selling newspaper Bild has been fired. Julian Reichelt's dismissal came after allegations of inappropriate sexual relations with women in his office. Now, these allegations were almost buried. Reporting by the New York Times brought them to light. Julian Reichelt's boss reportedly knew of the allegations for months, but only took action after it became impossible to ignore.
The Berlin headquarters of German media giant Axel Springer. Europe's most powerful publishing house is an imposing presence in the center of the German capital. Its flagship publication, the Bild newspaper, Europe's largest tabloid, with a daily circulation of 1.2 million copies. Until the beginning of this week, Julian Reichelt was its influential editor-in-chief. Now he's been removed from his post over revelations of professional and sexual misconduct. He's accused of bullying behavior and abuse of power towards female staff. But the claims are not entirely new. Earlier this year, the 41-year-old was briefly suspended after the company internally investigated complaints about his management style. He was reinstated 12 days later. German media had also been looking into accusations of misconduct. Juliane Löffler was part of an investigative team that had dug up damning details. Our research showed that abuse of power towards women did happen, and that Julian Reichelt had sexual relations with women who were in a hierarchical relationship with him, and therefore were dependent on him. It also showed that that led to women experiencing both professional advantages and disadvantages. But their investigation was killed by their publisher. However, 2 days later, Reichelt's history caught up with him, after the New York Times reported about the compromising allegations against him. Axel Springer is now facing uncomfortable questions about why it only fired Reichelt after pressure from abroad. That scrutiny isn't going away, given Springer's ambitions to become a global player in digital publishing with the help of its American owners. Most recently, it paid around $1 billion for US media company Politico. As for Bild, known for its big sensational headlines, the dismissal of its editor-in-chief made only page 3 on Tuesday, hidden in a very small article.
All right, for more now, I'm joined by Mika Boyster. He's a board member of the German Journalists Association. It's good to have you on the program. I mean, what are we looking at here? This looks a lot like a case of a publishing boss here in Germany had a story killed that his own staff had worked on for months about Julian Reichelt's alleged misconduct, and their protests were not strong enough to keep that story alive. What does that say about the power of the German media?
That's a very good question, and actually I'm shocked. Our association is shocked. We represent 30,000 journalists in Germany, and I personally didn't think that something like this would be possible in a country that prides itself on freedom of the press and investigative reporting, and we have outstanding journalism in Germany. And I personally wouldn't have thought that something like this is possible, that one publisher could kill a story and actually think that it wouldn't come out at the end, and it would need the New York Times to uncover it. That's shocking, and we need to talk about freedom of the press in Germany, the role of publishers, the role that editorial staff have, and how independent they are from their respective publishing companies.
And what about the power of editors-in-chief? I was told today that when you are the editor-in-chief of Bild Zeitung, that is almost like being a god in Germany. That's almost too much power to have, isn't it?
Yeah, that's actually the image that he presented himself. Julian Reichelt was the star of an Amazon Prime series in Germany, where he starred and had portrayed himself as a chain-smoking master of the universe kind of type, where he influenced politicians, where he made opinion. At least that's the picture you got from viewing it. And Bild, always, it's the largest European newspaper. We're talking about largest circulation, even though we're talking, I think, about 1.2 million copies in circulation, 500,000 digital subscribers, very successful in the digital market, launching a TV station, buying into Politico, Axel Springer, the publishing house. So Julian Reichelt prided himself of being out on the front, very popular, he thought, and very active on his image. Yes. So being a god, yes.
And a god who can apparently abuse his powers when it comes to women in the newsroom. I mean, if these accusations are true, we have a case here of an editor-in-chief who had inappropriate relations with a trainee in the office and then later abused the power that he had over her, and he would have gotten away with it had the New York Times not kept this story alive. That suggests that this may be not an exception, but maybe this could be the rule for German newsrooms, is it?
I wouldn't go that far, really. We're talking about a tabloid newspaper, the largest tabloid newspaper in Europe, and it's been known for a very rough atmosphere. What's been described in the article is a very toxic workplace atmosphere. It feels like a little bit like Me Too is hitting Europe with a jet lag at the moment. So we're kind of new to this because I actually wouldn't have thought this would be possible. So no, I wouldn't overgeneralize it. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say this is the media in Germany or in Europe. Mm-hmm. It's right now it's there, but of course, we need to address the core of the problem. It seems to be a structural problem hidden in what we see at the moment. So I would say yes and no. It's a single case at the moment, but we need to address the topic of workplace equality and toxic atmosphere at the workplace, yes.
And what do you think this means for Axel Springer and the mission it has to become this global dominant digital publishing empire, if you will? They're moving into the United States now with the takeover of Politico. Is this going to maybe shake up the culture inside Axel Springer?
What concerns me, and you made a point there, is that the investment company KKR that bought into Bild and or Axel Springer, and the publishing house actually expanding very aggressively to American markets and international markets is having effects because hadn't it been for the American culture of corporate responsibility, and maybe we wouldn't have had Julian Reichelt fired because American laws are much more strict concerning those allegations at the workplace than German culture generally would be at the moment. So yes, we have a point there, and that concerns me quite a lot.
Okay. Mika Boyster, a board member with the German Journalists Association. Mika, we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Exciting times we're living in. Thank you.
It is. Thank you for having me.